about our, journey and where we've come from. The company really, in its latest incarnation, began when we acquired the mint chip assets from the Royal Canadian Mint, a deal that was 1 year in the making, closed on December 23rd, 2015, and we were launched in market in June of the following year. Jennifer also talked about Goldman Sachs, who is our lead investor. When we acquired mint chip from the Royal Canadian Mint, Goldman Sachs did come on board as our lead investor. They've been fantastic. They've been very active, not scary. A lot of people think they're scary. They're not that scary. We spend a lot of time with them, and they really help us in this space. I guess it was really the bulk of 2017, we spent a lot of time down in the States working on the Faster Payments Task Force, which was run by the US Fed as they are looking for new solutions for real-time payments. And that ultimately is what nanopay is. The Interact demo that I'm going to show today is, we've been working with them for probably going back to Debbie and her team for about 1.5 years, really looking for ways in which we can work together. I'm going to talk a little bit about, first of all, before I get into the demo, and this is a sort of a fancy slide with lots of pictures, but ultimately the crux of our technology and what we do is we digitize fiat money. We exchange fiat money for a digital representation of that. When we do that, we can move money, clear and settle instantly. And our objective in the market is to really solve many of the problems around payments because we can move money instantly around the world, and we're going to show a little bit of that today. I'm going to talk about sort of who we sell to, because we began looking, mint chip was originally conceived of as a platform to bring to the consumers to do P2P payments, retail payments. We actually took a different take on it to focus primarily on how we can enable central banks, and businesses to basically payment enable the payments that they're making today. I mean, you look at, there was a great article recently and it talked about the difference between real-time payments and traditional payments in the US, comparing wires, which are called $25, versus ACH was around $1, and they're saying, how expensive should how much should we charge for real-time payments? And a lot of people are saying somewhere between $1 and $25. Our thinking is the technology exists so we can charge pretty close to free to move money. And when you can do that, we will transform the way people exchange money around the world. So that said, I'm going to ask George is on the keys upstairs. He's going to walk through the demo. And really what we've done in the Interact, so we've been working with them for some time and their team, and our objective with them was to use our technology to connect payment networks. Interact e-transfer is a good funds real-time payment system. That's fancy words, but what it means is that you can really move money near to real time in Canada today. A lot of the delays that you see are basically banks holding for a period of time to check for fraud and things like that. In India, they have something called IMPS, which is the Immediate Payment System or Service. And what that allows is, in India, you can move money from one person to another instantly. India is incredibly advanced. And so what we worked with the Interact team was with them to how could we do an international e-transfer to move money in real time between a Canadian bank account and an Indian bank account, and we're using our core nanopay platform to actually bridge that. So, George, if you can just sort of, you've got to sort of scroll down, do a sort of command minus just to zoom out a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So if we do so imagine this is a Canadian bank, and you click on Send e-transfer. Obviously, when we're sending money across a border, we can't just send it using their email address or their mobile phone number. We need more information. Compliance requires that we need to capture additional information both on the sending side and on the receiving side. So I've actually added Varun here as a payee in the system and added specific information that is going to be required. And if we click on next, we're going to go to a screen where we're going to see the rate. So what we're doing is we're pulling basically a real-time rate. George can go in and he can put 100 Canadian dollars in. It'll provide the corresponding Indian rupee, or do 6,000 and it converts. So basically, the whole premise is that we want to basically, right up front, show all the fees that are there and really let people say, I want to send this much in Canadian dollars, or I want to receive this much in an Indian rupee payment. And that becomes really important doing B2B payments because an invoice is set for a specific amount of money. I can't send nearly the right amount of money. I need to send exactly the right amount of money, net of fees. So we've got, the rate is, I'll just wait for the rate to expire. I've hard-coded the service for full disclosure. The rate will be the same, which is actually a mid-market rate. So the rate pulls up. If George clicks on next, what we're doing now is we've actually shown you the summary screen with all of the information that is required from a compliance point of view, and we're linking all of this payment data to the payment using ISO 20022, so all the metadata is going to be there. So if George clicks on next, what it's doing right now is it is assembling and verifying all of the compliance information on the sending side, doing exactly the same thing on the receiving side. If there is something missing, you will be prompted to add that information. And it is done. It books the rate, it generates the IMPS, and the payment is sent. So the key message is here, Interact. The reason why we can do this is Interact is good funds. The settlement does happen between banks overnight, but basically banks guarantee that when you send an Interact e-transfer, that it will arrive on the other side. And in fact, it is actually sent to the bank account. And on the Indian side with IMPS, again, a real-time payment system, we have the ability to deliver to an Indian bank account in real time. So our vision is really to create the network and network so we can connect not only real-time payment systems, because that's relatively easy. It's that connecting other systems around the world so that we can move to a point where we can deliver money in real time at an absolute fraction of the cost of what it costs today to move money.